Well, Texas corn producers worry that a possible regulation in Mexico could cost them.
KCBD News Channel 11's Patricia Perry tells us what it is and what Lubbock Congressman Jody Arrington is doing to try to stop it.
2022 brought many concerns for farmers, and 2023 is already sowing fear for what comes next across borders.
The President of Mexico several years ago issued an executive order that there'd be no more GMO corn in Mexico.
The USDA released its World Agriculture Supply and Demand Estimate monthly report Thursday. It shows corn exports are projected to drop by 150 million bushels this year. The USDA blames the slow pace of shipments in December and the lowest level of outstanding sales in early January since the 2019-2020 marketing year. The director of the Texas Corn Producers Association is Joe Reed. He says without the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, exports are going to be lower.
Mexico's, if not the largest, one of the top one or two of our exporting partners. So that Texas farmers will be hurt first if he stays with that.
As it stands, the monthly report from the USDA shows a bushel of corn costs $6.70 on average. Reed says that price could change if an agreement isn't reached in favor of the farmers in Texas.
So price is where a farmer will get hurt. If Mexico follows through and does not buy any more corn, that will have to drive the price down.
Lubbock Congressman Jody Arrington wrote to President Biden when he went to the North American Leaders Summit on Monday, encouraging President Biden to highlight the significance of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement at that meeting, stating that the passing of USMCA was a huge win for America and advanced the interest of our farmers, ranchers, and workers across the country. We will have that full letter on our website. Patricia Perry, KCBD News Channel 11.